My name is Cameron Hughes of Cameron Hughes Wine. We're here in our office here in San Francisco where we run our Négociant wine company.
My name is Jessica Kogan, the co-founder of Cameron Hughes Wine. I run our direct-to-consumer business and I oversee just anything that has to do with presenting our company and brand.
Cameron Hughes Wine works like a virtual winery. We started off buying bulk wine, but high-end bulk wine, and we bottle it and we sell it. Over the years, as we've gotten bigger, we've developed our own winemaking operations, and now we have partner wineries, actually around the globe, where we make wine together with these partners. And we do business a variety of different ways. If you can imagine, anywhere along the spectrum of buying wine, we've done it. What makes us different in the space is that we don't have all the overhead that you would attribute to all the other wineries. We don't own vineyards, we don't own a winery. We're completely virtual in that sense. All of our assets are people, and then our contact with all the big retailers around the country.
I lived in New York for many, many years. I went to college in New York and I started in the fashion industry, and I worked at Donna Karan for quite a few years. And when I was in New York, I felt like the action was in San Francisco, and I ended up moving here. Cam and I were dating, and he was coming up with a concept for this wine company. In New York, it was all very fashion focused, and that was my industry. When I came out here, it was very engineering focused.
When I went to college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up being an English major. While I was in college, my father had managed to get me hooked on fine wine, and so I thought, maybe I want to be a winemaker. Two of the companies that I helped start up both cratered, and so they fired me, but I knew enough to be dangerous. I sold my wine collection on winebid.com and bought 500 cases in Napa Cab and sold it out of the back of my car and raised money, bought more wine, and ran that company into the ground. So that was strike three.
Cam said to me, I have this great idea for this wine company, and I said, I don't really know anything about wine. But then I looked into it and I said, you know what? Wine is very much like fashion. It's very subjective. It's about a point of view. It's about quality. It's about all these things that are very much like the fashion industry. So I said, why not? Let's do it.
And so I went to a bunch of big retailers around California and said, listen, I know how this bulk wine market operates. Using my brand, my name Cameron Hughes, I'd like to interface you with this bulk wine market and all the opportunities. And I finally got Costco to bite. And I guaranteed him, I said, you'll buy the first wine I put in front of you, I guarantee it, or I'll never call you again. And the guy just kind of laughed on the phone and said, hey, all right, kid, drop it off. And so I set a land speed record out to Livermore, California. He called me the next day and said, I'll take everything you got. And that's how the lot program was born and how we pulled our ass out of the fire, so to speak, because at the time I owed hundreds of thousands of dollars to my prior set of investors. Once I realized what it actually cost to make a gallon of wine versus what it ended up being on the shelf, there's just, if you could make it somehow simpler, that appealed to me.
Buying wine, like fashion, is an anxiety-provoking moment. Translating that experience online, removing the anxiety, creating like a really intimate experience. And we do that through certain things. For example, lots of tasting videos, and Cam talks about each and every single wine, lots of text spec sheets, very specific if you're what we call in the industry a cork dork, or like in the fashion industry, a fashionista. You want to know like where it comes from, how it was made, what the taste is, the specifics. And I just took what was in the fashion industry and applied those values to our own business.
We've got a whole array of wines here that illustrate how Cameron Hughes Wine does business. For me, wine is totally situational. Like last night, I sat down and said, I want some Petite Sirah. I just want something big and impactful. And there are other times I'm just like, I want a crisp white wine. So for me, my favorite wine is all dependent on what exactly I want it to taste like that minute. So what we have in front of us here are what you call composite barrel blends. And they're meant to represent a particular barrel lot of what we got here is some Grenache and some Syrah. We take a look at these components. First of all, I've tasted through each of these. All the wines are fantastic. The key is to then find a blend of these different components for a Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre blend. So I would put about 35 mLs in here of Grenache, and then we'd top it off with some Syrah, big inky Syrah. Now, of course, we would be a little more dialed in because we've got different lots here. But there we go. And boom, smell this. It's fantastic. And that's just
Ooh.
Yeah, a really young representative blend there, but you got black pepper, strawberry, raspberry. I mean, this would be a killer. It's got fantastic color. I'd buy all those in a second. The best part about working with your spouse is that you know them inside and out. It is a challenge though. It's an awesome challenge, but it brings you closer together and it forces you to work through a lot of different issues. So you're prepared for just about anything.
We have different perspectives, the way we approach work, the way we see the world.
There's no running away. So you're forced to confront everything and develop all the mechanisms that I think a lot of couples probably don't develop to cope with adversity.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I've really enjoyed working with him and getting to know him both as a work colleague, but also as a husband and a father and a lover. I mean, it's an incredible experience if you can make it work.
So I think in that sense, it's brought us so much closer, from child rearing to cash flow issues. We've done everything in between. It's pretty fantastic.
When you look at your life and you look how much time you spend out of your life at work, you know, all the moments away from your own family, I really felt like we needed to create a space that people felt free in. For Cam and I, we just need to not feel like there's anything on top of us. And I think that when you have a really low ceiling, then you just kind of think within those low ceilings. When you have a really high ceiling, the possibilities are limitless. When I moved out here, I got a chocolate lab, and I said, if I'm not gonna work for anybody else, I want an animal in my workspace. And so it just kind of became this like part of our corporate culture, which was, you know, bring your dogs to work. I know it's a very San Francisco thing, but it is like just a really good lifestyle work thing.
So the future for Cameron Hughes Wine is really interesting. As we've developed our virtual winemaking skill set, we have the opportunity to create consistently available wines. So we have a new Cameron Hughes collection coming that will have a Monterey Chardonnay and a Lake County Cabernet. And why those two SKUs? Because Monterey is the nexus for quality and value for Chardonnay in California. Lake County is the nexus for quality and value for Cabernet in California. And then we'll continue to expand on those. And I think that's probably the next big step for Cameron Hughes Wine.
It's a constant balancing act. And I think that for us, I just would always want to remain true to our vision, remain true to what our initial value proposition is, to, you know, amazing wine, great price, and wine you can believe in, and a wine that's gonna make you really happy.
The definition for success for me, I think, is really, it's about happiness. I've not sat down and ever set up a personal set of goals that I need to accomplish. My brain just doesn't function that way. For me, it's about the journey, it's about the adventure. And I think when I croak, I want to be able to look back and say I did everything I wanted to do. And I think that's the definition of success.
Happy at your work, happy with your life, happy with your family, just happiness. And waking up every morning and being like, I can do anything today.